crafty and crochet friends, welcome to Travel Crochet. My name is Tracy. Now for my regular followers, you shall see a bit of a hair difference. I finally got my hair done, booked in, planned for dye and all for the first time. I calculated, 4 years. I think it's about 4 years since my last, not my last haircut, but my first planned and first dye in my hair for 4 years. So I was telling Jess, the hairdresser, that I needed to change up what this looked like because I was sick of people thinking I'm over 65. I'm not even 50 yet, so needed a change. So we kept this white that I've naturally got in my hair. We like that stripe, but then we've gone with like a violet tinge, but the grey's still in there, so it's only half head of foils. So when it grows out, it's not going to be a real noticeable grey regrowth. But I love it. So what do you think? What do you think? There we go. There's a look. I knew a few people wanted to see, so there we go. Anyway, let's get on to actual crochet, shall we? I don't have a huge amount to show you. I must admit, this week I've been a bit flat in crocheting. Well, not flat, I just keep getting distracted because I've got a plan for the next 2 videos, I think. Well, it's definitely going to be more than this one, is to see how many patterns, free patterns I can use that are for popular plushies, I guess, that people make. So rather than paying money to buy a pattern, to see what free patterns I can find, but then rating those free patterns. So whenever I do these, I will always make the item and not just look at an image and say, oh, that looks good, I bet it would sell great at a market, or that looks like it would be an easy make. I like to actually make it, show it, and describe the process, I guess. So then you can make an informed decision if, and it's going to be my opinion. Other people's opinions might differ. So we'll give that little exclamation there. All right, now the first one that I decided to do, I got excited because my last paid one of these ended up being like this big. And I got excited because I found a smaller version of it that was free. And I thought, we'll give it a go. However, the end result has made poor old Bluey look like he may have been run over by a car. I think it's the eyes, but I'm not sure. Let's have a look. This is the end result. So for starters, yes, his eyes creep me out. So I followed the pattern. I've done the eyes as suggested. Maybe if I'd used safety eyes, he mightn't look as wrong. So he does sit up, but his tail's also rather thick. It reminds me of a platypus tail. Yes, I've already priced it and tagged it like I do. I think maybe if it was half, I Googled Bluey. It's been a very educational few days, I must say, learning about these characters. But his tail's thick, but I don't think it's quite that thick. It's gone a bit overboard there, I feel. Although it does help him sit up, I must say that. His ears are meant to be triangle shaped, but because we're dealing with such few stitches, they're not really that shape. I did put an actual safety nose. They did actually embroider it, but after the eyes, I'd lost all interest in doing that. But yeah, poor old Bluey. I think he's had a rough life, this one. He looks like he's been on a bit of a diet too, because it said in there, do not overstuff. Do not overstuff. And I'm going, okay, well, I won't overstuff. But then he looks like he's a bit He's been a bit homeless for a while, lost his family, he's been on travels trying to find his family again, and he's looking a bit rough. So, if I made it again, I would probably try safety eyes to see if that makes him look a bit more, I don't know, a bit more lifelike. I don't know. But anyway, this is a free Instagram pattern by Mary Mac Hooks. Please let me know if you've made this pattern and he doesn't look as run over as mine does. It might be just me. It might be just me and me making it, but yeah, I'm not overly happy with it, and there is a fair amount of work for the size he comes out. And you have to sew the arm, create the arm, sew the arms, create the legs. Oh, actually, no, I think they did get crocheted in it. It was the first one I did, so I've forgotten a little bit, even though it was a few days ago. No, they were crocheting around, but the belly patch is separate, sew on. Nose separate, sew on. Eyes, then the black pupil, separate. Eyebrows separate. Ears, create the yellow, create the blue, join them, and then sew them on. And then the tail separate, and so on. So for the size that he turns out, like he's pretty small, yeah. I don't think I'll make this one again. So for this one, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. All right, next one. And when I say this few days since my last video, and I haven't had a chance to get my glasses adjusted yet, so I apologize if I'm pushing them up still. It annoys me as well. Huge learning few days, because the next pattern that I looked up, I thought was a version of a Pokemon, because I have found when I googled Pokemon that there are hundreds of them, because I thought, oh, I'll be smart, I will start making the top 10 Pokemon. Well, first of all, no, I put in the Google search most popular Pokemon, and the first response was 150 of them. I'm going, oh, okay, I didn't realize that was so big, so many varieties, and they evolve and change, and like, it's like, all right, I know nothing about Pokemon. And then I discovered this pattern that I'd made by this stage. When I googled the name, it's not a Pokemon. In fact, it's not something that I would have made now knowing what it is. Here we go. Don't put nasty things in the comments, okay? All right. So this is Krampus. So apparently this is something that you make around Christmas time, that when I googled it, Wikipedia tells me that he hangs out with Saint Nick, and in Europe he's used, like here in Australia, if kids were naughty, would say, you know, if you keep being naughty, you're not going to get any presents, you're just going to get a lump of coal. Okay, so apparently this guy was the threat instead of the lump of coal. And when I googled the name Krampus, he's part like demon, part devil, part goat. And I'm going, oh no, I've made like Satan. I was like, ooh. So from now on, if I don't know what it is, I'm Googling before I start. So apparently this is a Christmas thing. So I have made it now, and he's got this tail, and yeah. So my bad. From now on, and ever since this, every single pattern, I've Googled, so I know exactly what I'm making, so it's safe. So I'll still take it to market. You know, somebody might like it. Anyway, this pattern was a free Instagram pattern. Like I said, I did mistake it for a Pokemon or something like that, but it is not. And it is made by Little Stitch Spells. So then I looked at the name going, Stitch and Spells, okay. So we'll take it as it is, right? No hate, please. I didn't mean to. Right, So then I thought, okay, I need to make something that I know is safe. When I was at the last market last weekend, we have started making friends with our other local store holders, vendors, and there's a gentleman who's usually opposite us that sells engraved items like cups and different things. And he always pops on over and he always looks at what I've got and he goes, oh, I've got to check out what you have. And then Chris, my husband, noticed that he has this huge tattoo on the bottom of his leg and it's all Pokemon characters. And he goes, oh yeah, I love it. Then there was a time in his life that it actually got him through. It was when, I think, was it around or just before COVID hit or after COVID, something like that, the Pokemon Go game came out. Like, I've heard of that. And it got people outside and searching for Pokemon that they can find on the game or whatever. And it got him through some rough times. And I said, oh, what's your favourite Pokemon? I'd like to make one for you. And he goes, I think he pronounces it Cubone, something like that. And I'm going, all right, please spell it for me. And then I googled it and I saw what it was, and I'll say I'll do my best to try and find a pattern and make one for you. So I found a free pattern of it, so I'm sticking with the free patterns to see how far you can get with making these popular items or popular characters and not have to pay for the patterns. So this is my end result. So I think he's got his little bone that he must beat up things with. I did change the belly piece to what was in the actual pattern because it ended up just being a little round circle. And when I Googled the image of this guy, he's got a big patch. And the only other thing that it should have, according to the images, is the bottom half of his face here should be the same color as his body, but the pattern didn't have that, and I really couldn't be bothered working out where to do color changes for that. So look for a free pattern. I think it's pretty good. I think you can see that it is the character that it's supposed to be. So yes, quite happy with that. If you're wanting to do it for a market as a quick make, it's not a quick make. You've got to make this body piece first, then you make the arms separate and sew them on, legs separate, sew them on, tail separate, sew it on, eyes separate, sew it on, then this eye around this bit around the eye on both sides is separate, sewn on, horns separate, sewn on. So it's a lot of sewing, and then you've got to create these, like it's meant to be like the nose holes in the skull, so that's a bit of sort of embroidery. So it's a lot of work, but I mean, for a free pattern, I think it looks pretty good for what the character actually does look like. So I think it's okay, but definitely not a quick make. So I will give it a thumbs up for the pattern. I think you do know who it is if you know Pokemon, which I don't, but once I Googled it, it does look like it. So that was the second one. Now, did I say who it was by? No, I didn't. So this is a Ribbler pattern. So it's a free Ribbler pattern by Just Yarny. And all these links to the actual like Just Yarny site on Ribbler, and then you'll find the pattern when you go to her site. Because a lot of these people I find, especially on Ribbler, if you don't follow their shop, then you can't get their free pattern. All right. Then the next one, I made sure I Googled, but I was sure I was pretty safe with this one. And I've seen lots of other people show that they've made this, so I thought, we're safe. So I've made a little Kirby. So it was a very quick make. Yes, this would be great for markets and very quick make. So I thought what I'm going to be doing is gradually changing my mystery boxes and having about 15 or 20 that I will put on a sheet and show that 2 of these items will be in your mystery box out of all these. So this is what could be in your mystery box. So I think this Kirby will be one of those because it'll be a quick make to go in the mystery boxes. So I'll gradually build up a few of these and then gradually switch out the mystery boxes once I've got enough patterns worked out that I think that I'll do for those. Now this pattern is a free pattern on Instagram by Nemo Crochet. And yes, I do recommend this pattern. Very quick, very easy. I don't even know how long it took, but it wasn't long. Maybe, I mean, by the time you're putting the facial features and things on embroidery, maybe 15 minutes. So yeah, not long at all. All right, so I can't remember, Kirby is off some sort of cartoon. I can't remember exactly what it was off. And then we're already up to the last one that I got to because I only made 5 things. But then it's only Wednesday and the last video was Sunday. So, and I just kept getting distracted. I think I just kept looking at getting sidetracked with, you know, searching for patterns, but then not actually getting down to making patterns. So the last one, is definitely safe. I googled it, it's safe. And I don't know how to pronounce its name properly, so excuse me if I really butcher the name. So I think it's Pomurin, and this is him. So when I googled it, he is in the Hello Kitty show, I guess. You can tell I have no idea. I've never watched any of these things. Cartoon or whatever it is. So this was actually, even though it had, you know, you made the arms separate, sewed them on, and legs separate, sewed them on, ears separate, sewed on, hat or beret separate, sewed on, it's still, there was so many like little rounds that it was very quick anyway, and it still didn't take long to make the whole thing. So I would still recommend this as a fairly quick market make. And it was very easy, like really beginner friendly. I think this is quite easy for someone to make. So this is going to be another one I think I'll put in my mystery boxes because it was quite fast. Now this is a free, where are we? No, another Ribbler pattern, this one. Again, the designer's name, Ayuli, I'll put it up on the screen, but it'll also be in the description. Ayuli Crochets. I do apologize if I've really said that wrong. But yeah. Really happy with this guy, and when I googled it I could recognize the character, so I think it's turned out quite well. And yeah, to be honest, I think maybe 20 minutes to half an hour to create this guide today. Yeah, so that's what I made today before my hair appointment, which took like 5 hours like it always does. But talking about that, I want to can't even talk. I want to give out a shout out to the hairdresser I went to today. It's a brand new salon that's just opened. She's only been open for 2.5 weeks. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'll go and get a card. Okay, so I'm back. So this is the business card. So it's called Cabela Hair Studio. Here in Hervey Bay in Queensland. So any locals that may be watching, please check her out. And Jess was so honest. Like, I have to say that I went in, I had various photos of ideas of what I'd like to do with my hair, because it's been so long. I didn't really know what to do, but Chris, my husband, had this suggestion of what he would like me to do with my hair, because Chris knows in the past I'm quite apt to dabbling in bright colours. I'm not scared to go bright with my hair colours. And so he said to me, his suggestion was a pixie cut with bright pink hair. And these days I can't do pixie cut because my hair is way too grey and the regrowth would just kill me. I would have to be going back every week or 2 days just to touch up. So, and Jess agreed with me and she said, yes, no, tell Chris, can't do that. But she was also very honest of a few other photos I had. She actually said, no, I don't think that would suit you, but I think this would. That's a good choice. Or we could do this, but change it up. So very honest, which is great to see. As she's not there to just agree with what you say and then you may not be happy and you'll never go back again. So it was great to see. Lovely, lovely lady, Jess. And yeah, brand new hair studio, only 2.5 weeks. So Cabela Hair Studio. I will put her website in the description of the video. So if you do, the back of the card there, but I will put it. I'm not sure if it's going to come up, but yeah, highly recommend her. And yeah, she's not originally from Hervey Bay, so she's just moved here as well and giving it a good shot. So no client base to start off with, so we're yeah, definitely worthwhile giving a go. And she's definitely got appointments available if you're local and want a new hairdresser. So anyway, that is all I've got for today. Yeah, I'll continue with the free patterns next week. It may not all be the big characters, because I've got a few other patterns that I found that aren't big characters, but they're popular items that people like to make. So it will either be characters like Pokemon or things like that, or popular makes that people like to make for markets. So we'll continue that in Sunday's video. I've changed it to Sunday's video. So I've got an extra day between now and then, so hopefully I get a few more than 5 things done. So yeah, thanks for everyone's patience. It is a bit later probably again tonight because yeah, I was a bit distracted today than what I normally am. And yeah, let me know what you think. Be nice. And yeah, Google what patterns are called and make sure that they're safe to make. I have learned my lesson. All right, thanks everyone, and I'll see you Sunday. Bye.